All of the death that I've experienced in my family has been without closure and without a sense of relief.
This thing we have in America of like letting people just slip away, pretending it didn't matter, not grieving. It's a disrespect to the value of their lives.
I find that very interesting in contemporary culture right now. We're so separated from death, and we're such a youth-based culture.
When my uncle died, it was a very long and painful death. I didn't feel like I could say, "It's okay, Uncle, you're dying," because I knew he did not believe that he was dying. He had to die alone in a hospital, which was like his worst fear.
I watched my mother and my father die, and it's the greatest lessons of my whole life. My mother entered with absolute faith. She even asked the woman at the hospice, "Now, how long is this going to take?" And she wanted to know kind of what stages. She wanted to be prepared. She didn't think she wanted to see anybody, but then, of course, you know, Mexican family, like, there were tons of people waiting.
The majority of people don't get to experience their own deaths, and they're really removed from their own bodies, and certainly the family members and people around are often very removed from that experience.
I just couldn't believe it happened. It was like, not days of mourning, it was days of like shock. A kind of, everybody who needs to be there is there. So that had been broken in a way that was like irretrievable and shocking because it felt unbreakable. So you're like, oh yes, this is that new reality.
We live in such a fast-paced society that people are almost forced into, you know, get over it, get over it, get over it, and you're allowed about, you know, 2 tears, and then you got to put on the face, and that was my experience. We don't know how as a culture and society to support those people that are mourning, whereas Victorians did.
An affluent Victorian home would often keep what was called a slumber room, or a parlor that was always designated only for bereavement, and it just stayed set up in the house at all times.
In 1880, the Ladies' Home Journal came out with an editorial. We don't want that room to be called the parlor anymore because of its association with the dead. So we want that room to be called the living room.
My Aunt Holly moved to Mexico about 20 years ago. One day we got a phone call that she had been murdered. So we went down there and we decided to invite all of the people who lived in the village and who loved her, and we had made an altar.
Se cree que los difuntos, bueno, sus espíritus de los difuntos vienen en estos días a la casa. Entonces nosotros preparamos una ofrenda para que ellos puedan comer lo que les gustaba y se puedan llevar fruta. Es por eso que se ponen las frutas, para que ellos se la puedan llevar.
So we had an image of her and things she liked. The people from the village sang these beautiful chants.
I think mourning art was very healthy and cathartic for people in the 19th century because we don't know how as a culture and society to support those people that are mourning. There's nothing to artistically put that grief into something tangible.
Mortal Ebb looked like a Victorian mourning parlor. When they laid in the coffin, their post-mortem image was taken, so they were able to confront their fears of mortality by getting in a coffin.
I can't do it.
You just don't even realize how much you fear death.
Well, you know, I was a little nervous at first because, you know, there's something about meeting your own mortality, which, you know, as you just turn 50, like I did, it's starting to get closer and closer. But actually, it was quite pleasant being in the coffin.
Wouldn't you say, this is one of the most important things that's ever happened to me? And you have to go through the portal in this beautiful, beautiful way. I feel that it's a universal practice of creating family for those who either don't have family or have lost connection to their family, and then they can borrow my family. And in that family, they'll find the same things that happened to them. The people that died, the children, it's there for everyone.